Good evening, everybody. Let the fun be gin indeed. And, well, it's rude not to. I'll have a glass of water, Your Honour. Great to see you. Apologies. I know it has only been 2 weeks, but I nearly missed this week because I've been so busy. And it was lovely because I had people pestering, going, come on, we want a show, we want a show. So thank you very much for those comments. That does mean a lot. Less so when I'm busy and going, oh, heck, I've got to sort this one out. But thank you for my co-host this evening, who I'll be introducing in a second, who's been working feverishly in the background. And it's great to see. Doing something a little bit different, because I'm doing something a little bit different, as in I have done sprints before, but I've not done the Dick Mayo Sprint with Bristol Motor Club, and I'm really looking forward to it. Before I introduce you to my co-host, let's have a very quick look to see what it is we can expect to see on Saturday at Castle Combe. And it's Mr. Andy Laurence. Evening, my friend.
Evening. How you doing?
I'm all right, mate. How are you?
Not too bad. I've gone beer instead of gin, so sorry about that.
Listen, mate, and it looks a bit better than it did earlier when you first poured that. I'm not one to grass you up or out.
I haven't got any more either.
Oh gosh, you need to sort that one out. But let everybody know who you are with regards to Bristol Motor Club.
So I'm Andy, and I've been on the committee of Bristol Motor Club because we're a voluntary organisation. I've been on the committee for like 15 years or so. Done a bit of sprinting in the past, and a little bit of everything, really.
I like it, mate. Well, obviously, it just made sense for us to, come on and you co-host this with me, just so you can keep it together. I know that we chatted. You guys have hooked me in on a rare weekend where I'm at the circuit tomorrow hosting the Castle Combe Racing School, which I love doing. I can't wait. But I had a rare weekend off, and you've thrown me to the wolves and got me in trouble with a wife by scheduling me to come and join you on Saturday at the circuit, and you and I basically kind of co-commentated. I think you're throwing me at the sharp end while you're sort of making it technically work, but you'll be joining me on the mic as well for the live stream of the sprint.
Yeah, I'm not even planning to be there, mate. Sorry.
Yeah. Do you know what? That wouldn't even surprise me knowing you. It would. You'd throw me to the wolves like that, definitely. Question. Dick Mayo Sprint. Who's Dick Mayo?
Dick Mayo was a member of the motor club before I joined. I never met him. He died in about, I reckon about 2003, 2004, something like that. I'm not entirely sure, I have to be honest. Should have checked. But he was...
We will do for Saturday.
I will do, yeah. In fact, his son will be there on Saturday because he's the clerk of the course.
Cool.
But Dick was a massive club motorsport fan, and he really encouraged grassroots racing for decades. And when he passed, the rest of the committee decided it was fitting to name the sprint after him, because he was instrumental in getting the sprint to start again at Castle Combe in, I think it was in the 80s or 90s. Again, a date I should probably check.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's great as well that I'm loving that we're getting involved. I'm getting involved for the first time with Bristol Motor Club, because I talk about you a lot. I will do tomorrow when I'm doing the briefings for the racing school, because I always talk about the history of the circuit, and of course, it was the Bristol Motor Club that identified that this perimeter road of the training airbase was a good place to have some races, because they felt that Lowellsgate was not quite so safe as Bristol Airport, as we know it now, was not quite so safe. And as far as I understand it, they ran the first race meet at Castle Combe. What was it, 50 something?
1950.
Yeah, which
October,
was
I think.
Only 18 months after Silverstone opened as a circuit. So it's hence Castle Combe is, our beloved Castle Combe is one of the longest established circuits in the country. So it's great to at last work with you guys. I'm really excited about it. Right. And just very quickly, because we've got another guest to bring on, but before I do that, that's it. She's got nervous now in the background. I can see you, Claire, getting nervous. Just quickly get some of the messages up a second first, though. Tim Perry, evening all. Hope you're all well. Dilly, mate. A shame I couldn't make the sprint on Saturday, but have to work. That's a shame, mate, because I know you do enjoy it when you're dressed up in orange and for the sprint. Nigel Forrest from up Alton Park direction. Evening all. Hope you're well. I am, mate. Still gutted I'm not up to see you guys this year. I don't think I've got any commentaries booked for Alton Park this year, which is a real shame. Only because I'm being pulled pillar to post everywhere else. You know I miss you guys and I want to get back up there. Tim Perry says, water, liar, Mr. Dawsey. Your Honour, seriously. All right, fizzy water. You're right, it's fizzy water. Sorry, mate. I got it wrong, didn't I? Let's have another glug. Evening all, says Mike Cotton. Evening, mate. Sorry, the glug was more important there. Mike Cotton, good to see you there. I know that sadly we can't have spectators, but hopefully you can watch in, because I know you would probably be up there, mate. You'd be watching it, Mike, if you could. My cousin, Paul Dawes. Evening, Chris and the rest of the team at Castle Combe. Evening, mate. Lewis Bird. Evening, Dawsey and Andy. Lewis, there's somebody, dad and son, another dad and son that really I think should be racing in the sprints at some point. They race at Castle Combe as well. There seems to be a theme with this, is that it's siblings and parents doing a lot of racing together in the sprint, which I absolutely love. Not siblings, that's brother and sister, isn't it? Offsprings. Is that the one? I don't know. It's late and I haven't had enough gin to know what I'm talking about yet. Chris Pearson says, evening, folks. I don't suppose you're togging for us this weekend, are you, mate? Because you'll probably be at one of the other circuits. Lewis Bird asked the question, is the event open to spectators? That's a no, isn't it, Andy, sadly?
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. Bunch of reasons, but yeah. Even
down to insurance, as I understand it, you're told no, because it just you got so much responsibility as soon as you do that at the moment. We're like, what, 2 days too early?
Yeah, well, normally the sprint is free. to spectators, but this year it's not. But just to give you a bit of, you probably don't know, but Lewis did actually start off sprinting, and he's done the Dick Mayo before. And
it doesn't surprise me. Doesn't surprise me.
He caused one of the longest red flags we've ever had by laying a load of oil, from what I remember. But no doubt he'll correct me if I'm wrong.
No, he won't. He'll deny it. Well, here you go. He says he's just put this one up. He says, I won my class at the Dick Mayo Sprint in 2011. Yeah, he remembers that bit, just not the long red flag with the oil everywhere. I got you. Selective memory. My wife says I've got that as well, but I can't remember why. Gerald Howell says, I'll be there representing the Combe Orange Army along with Jackie Fay. Great to hear that, guys. Post 11 for me, paddock for Jackie. Hopefully as good a day as in the past in Stall. Always a great event. Looking good weather-wise, isn't it?
Yeah. And after I spent all that time doing the waterproofing of the cameras.
Yeah, that's why it's good weather. Let's be honest, if you hadn't have done it, it'd have been your fault. We'd have had cack weather. So well done, mate. On behalf of us all, thank you.
I'll take that one.
Oh, look at this. Mike Cotton said he went to a sprint at Lowellsgate when I was young. Hero. Mike Cotton, honestly, he's like my biggest hero. He's just seen so much, not especially Castle Combe related. It's just wonderful to hear that. Chris Savage, evening, Chris. Have you recovered from your role at Thruxton, mate, in your Caterham? That looked nasty. He got chipped up in his Caterham in the race there a couple of weeks ago and rolled it over, but hopefully it'll all be okay. Darren Duffield, another one of our Combe Racing Club racers, says, evening, Chris. I was sprinting at Combe 3 years ago, and he's now out racing in the Mini. So that's good to see. Chris Pearson says, I had a cancellation for this weekend, but I expect I'm a bit late to come along now. No idea what your situation is with photographers, mate. Probably.
I don't know, actually. I have to speak to the event secretary, I think, and find that out. But it might be possible.
All right, drop him a line, mate. You never know. Peggy Spackman, good evening all. Great to hear you, Peggy. Hopefully Ross is watching as well. Lewis Bird said, yep, that was me. Oh, fair enough. He didn't deny it. Beardy, evening. Off to Snetterton in the morning, so alas, can't be there. Safe trip, my friend. And Scott Billinger, last message that's there at the minute. Great event. Hope to do the Dick Mayo again one day. I've got to be honest and say it's one of those things that I'm getting tempted to sort of get involved in sprinting. Another one that I've recommended to get involved, I don't think he's done it yet, is Kieran Simmons, because he's taken a bit of a break at the moment, but he raced in our saloons for a good while. But he has done and still does like going off and do like auto solos and things like that as well. And I think he's a guy that would absolutely love doing the sprints. Somebody that we're going to bring on now, it was a false warning last time, wasn't it, Claire? Sorry. But is somebody that I'm told has been racing since he was 16 and is a champion. I'm going to bring on now Claire Tooth. Hello, Claire.
Hello, you all right?
Yeah, I'm good. Sorry to keep you waiting there.
That's all right, don't worry.
And forgive me, I don't know the actual answer, but you're not the only Tooth involved in this.
No, my dad does it as well. So that's how I got into it, because my dad does it.
Was that Dad that said hello at the beginning when you first came on?
Yeah, that was him floating around in the background, yeah.
That's fine, that's fine. How old are you now? I know it's allegedly rude to us, but I want to know how long. No, let me change the question, get myself out of trouble. How long have you been racing, sprinting?
8 years I've been racing. So yeah,
8.
Started when I was 16.
Do the maths, everyone. I'll leave that to you then. But none of us are being rude, so nice recovery there, I think. Wow, so 8 years.
Yeah.
And you are a champion. Forgive me, I don't know. How is that more than once?
What in terms of, so at Combe, I did hold the class record at Combe. However, I believe it was beaten. So I did hold my class record, but last year I was in the BARC championship and I got best performance by a female in that. So I have that record, that title at the moment as well.
Fantastic. I like the sound. Just to warn everybody, we never know, is that we might suddenly lose Claire. She's like my wife. She's a physiotherapist. I say it enough. I should know how to say that properly, shouldn't I now? At Bath, I think, isn't it?
Bath, yeah.
Yeah, my wife previously was down at Western General, down at Western Supermare, but she's at the MOD at the minute. So yes, if everybody knows, if Claire has to dart, that's the reason why. It's not because I've wound her up. Well, that's the excuse she'll use if I've wound her up. Yeah. I'm just looking. What are you out in this weekend then, Claire?
I'm in a Lotus Elise in road going, so it's in class A2.
I did see it.
Yeah.
There it is with Ryan Emer.
Yeah, so I'm double driving with my boyfriend. So he normally competes in a Metro. However, it's currently having a lot of repairs done on it. So he's been allowed to borrow my car for the weekend.
So next time we have you on the show, you go, how did it go with your ex-boyfriend last year? If he damages it, he'll be in trouble, won't he? No, I jest. Does that make, because I saw photos of this wonderful Mini.
Yeah, so I started when I was 16. I started in a Mini. So my dad bought a Mini Clubman 1275 GT for me to start competing in when I was 16. So sort of between the two of us, we sort of helped put it up to a good condition and then started using that when I was 16. I think we used that for about 4 years maybe. And then we got the Elise, thought it was time to move on to something a little bit quicker. So then moved on to Elise. We do still occasionally use the Mini. We use it at Prescott Hill Climb mostly.
Wow.
But it's a bit hard to hold on to. I don't find it the easiest to drive.
Oh really? Wow, that's interesting. Yeah. And yet you do the Lotus. That's like an absolute beast of a car. I've covered
to drive.
Is it really? Oh, okay. I've covered other Lotus sprints by what they called Lotus on track. I don't know whether I'm swearing, Andy, when I mention another sprint group or not. Really, am I offending? I don't know, but
I think so.
That's all right then. I've said it now anyway. But yeah, where they actually interject, as well as doing their own meets, they actually interject in race day meets. Like I've done it at Snetterton, Brands Hatch, where we'll be doing normal races, and then suddenly it'll be the sprints come out. We've done Ferraris, and the Lotus on track is a big one. Have you ever joined them in your Lotus?
No, so when I was part of the BARC Championship, they had their own part. So I think they were Lotus on track, and they've now changed to something slightly different. And they were part of they sort of ran the same rounds as the BARC Championship. So I've never competed against them directly, but I've definitely been able to compare my times to them at multiple events. So
Lotus Speed Championship, I think. Is it something like that now, actually?
Possibly, yeah.
But the reason why I still call it Lotus on track is that their Twitter handle's still the LOTRC or whatever it is. I don't know. Something along those lines. Yeah, so you're out in the A2, and I'm just quickly looking to see, because I did spot your dad on here. Which group is he in?
Oh, he's not competing this weekend.
Oh, I thought I saw.
He was supposed to be competing, but he ended up having to have some surgery. So that's why my boyfriend's using the car instead. He was stand-in driver.
Got you. Hopefully at the end you'll change stand-in to outstanding. I'm just teeing you up to, get yourself in the good books there, Claire. Right, so you get to go sprinting at various different locations then, because I'm really looking forward to seeing it Castle Combe, where you'll come out of the pit lane, up round the circuit as we know it, and then come out of Bobby's, and just a bit down from there is the timing beam to end it. That's cool. That's really wicked getting to see that. But you go and sprint at all sorts of different places by the sounds of it.
Yeah, so sprints and hill climbs is what I use the Elise for. So we go to sort of places you've already mentioned, like Lowton Park, Prescott, sort of Rockingham when that was still running, go all over really. So lots of different exciting places to go to.
So is it just sprints and hill climbs? Is that all you choose to do?
Wow. So I do sprints and hill climbs, and then both my dad and my boyfriend partake in classic trials, car trials. So I passenger for them in that. And me and my boyfriend also have a trials sidecar, so a bike with a sidecar on it. So he rides the bike and I stand on the sidecar, and we go off around woods and go up steep hills and around trees and try not to fall off that as well. So do a few different things. Weekends are always busy. It
sounds it. I'm interested then as well from your side. Clearly a fantastic driver. Do you like to get your hands dirty as well? Are you like mechanically minded, or is that not your cup of tea?
I pitch in where I can. but I'm not, obviously physio head doesn't sort of go well with engineer, but I do sort of try and help out wherever I can. But yeah, mostly Dad does the maintenance on the car.
I only ask, and Andy, you might have a sort of a pitch in on this, is that I find that with things like all of the things really that you say there, Claire, is that people are not just race heads. They're very much not just mechanics, but they create some amazing machines as well. They love to get involved in that. Andy.
Yeah.
that's where it all stems from. That's the
wow.
If you want to talk about amazing things that have been built, that is I'm not sure what year that is, but that's the Freikaiserwagen, which was built.
It's easy
by,
for you to say.
I've had enough practice.
Yeah.
It was built by Dick Caesar and now I'm completely forgotten. Hugh Dunsterville, and they built that pre-war. So that was racing uphill climbs in the 1930s, and it held the outright record at Shelsley Walsh in 1950, I think. But it's basically just a ladder with a like part seat. It's terrifying.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. There's just some phenomenal pieces of kit. I mean, Claire, were you even saying about these classic trials things? I mean, some of the stuff that I've seen in the videos and photos of that, they're just, A, they are insane, and B, what you've got to do as a track, I don't know what I'm supposed to call it really, is insane as well.
Yeah, most definitely. You chuck cars up things that you wouldn't dream of putting cars up normally. So, but I think the thing that's really nice sort of with the trials and the sprints that you can use literally your daily road car, or you can, build something really specialist. You can do it sort of whatever level that you want. So it's like you've got that option out there, which is really nice.
Well, we will put the graphics up in a bit that Andy sent through, where we sort of just let people know about the different things, because it really does, exactly as you say, cater for everything about, road going. We've obviously got the Mazda MX-5 class in particular as well to focus on that, to then sort of like slightly modified to just stupidly modified to sports cars, single seaters. And when I was at Snetterton the other week, it was very odd, that one, is that we did have the Lotus Speed Championship going round, because what we were commentating on was on the 200, which is kind of right round the outside, if you will. And what confused Andy is he's like going, no, you were commentating on the, what was it, Andy, in the middle?
That's the British Championship, British Sprint Championship. Yeah,
right. That was going on the 100 in the middle. That was happening whilst we were commentating on everything going there. We had these things in the middle that some of them were just bonkers.
They are completely nuts. They're like that. So the top end of those are basically Formula One engines in cars that are, well, these days about half the weight of a Formula One car, because Formula One cars are fat and heavy these days. But yeah,
they spoke highly of you as well, mate.
But they're coming to Combe at the end of the year as well, in October.
Are they really?
Yeah, sorry, I forgot to mention that, didn't I? Yeah.
Ooh, after seeing them there, honestly, and they were there both days, and just seeing the paddock, let alone then accidentally looking to the infield whilst I was supposed to be looking to the 200, especially when you heard some noise, some of the single seaters. I mean, obvious ones is things like the Jedis. They're just ridiculous anyway. They're just bonkers, and they were there, but they were obvious. But then you had some bigger single seaters with some, I don't know, rocket engines in them or something, and then we had like an Audi R8 space frame thing with
Simon. Yeah, Simon Bainbridge. He's
green, isn't it?
It's a carbon fiber tub. That car's amazing. He's a farmer, and he built it in his shed with his mate John. And it's the second one. The first one burnt to a crisp. We won't mention that. But yeah, it's a carbon tub. It's got an Audi engine in the back. It's powerful enough that dynos are hard to come by. Yeah, and he's talking about building a V10 next, so I don't know when that's going to start. It's going to be mental.
It was good. I'm going to keep an eye out for that then in October. But for this Saturday, and by the way, good to hear that you're watching, Hugo Gilbert. Hello, mate. Good to hear from you. And is it on Sunday? No, it's Saturday, mate. No spectators, sadly, as we said earlier, for those that might just be joining now. But we are streaming it, and I will put the link in the chat in a second as well, actually, on the Bristol Motor Club YouTube page. So even if you just want to go look on YouTube, look for Bristol Motor Club, subscribe to it, and turn on the press the bell to turn on the notifications. Plus, you'll see the scheduled live show for Saturday, and you can set a reminder for that as well. And it will be me and Andy that will be on the commentary, and I can't wait. I'm genuinely looking forward to it. Are you happy, Claire, that it's going to be dry?
Yes, definitely. I feel it may be slightly too hot to be in full overalls and helmet, but at least you're not in the car for very long. At least you're not going around for as long as they do when they do the racing. So,
yeah, I mean, that's an interesting thing for me, is that, okay, luckily I'm not a complete novice is the better word to use. I won't use the V word to it, because I've done somewhere, but it's my first time with the Bristol Motor Club and round Castle Combe. I've never sort of been and seen the sprint there, let alone do it, commentate on it. But it's just intriguing, and the fact that we've got numerous races that either started there and moved on to racing, or are racing but still go back and love to do it, because it's you and your car against the clock, isn't it?
Yeah, it's nice because you're against those other people, but you're against yourself as well. I think for me, I definitely wouldn't have the awareness to do a race. I don't think I'd have the awareness of everyone else around me. But yeah, it definitely gets very competitive.
I'm more like you. If I was going to actually do something, they say those that can do it and those that can't talk about it. Read into that what you will, but I've always thought if I was going to do anything, it would be something along the lines of sprints or at least track days or something, because I don't really, I'm not good enough, I don't think, to go racing against other people, which is why I have massive respect, and everybody hears it in my commentary, is I have huge respect for the racing drives that I'm commentating on. But to watch, you all go for this, what's your favourite part of the Castle Combe Circuit?
Oh, that's a tricky
and which question. Is your worst, not your worst, your most challenging or most feared or whatever? So the two extremes.
I think Bobby's is the one that I don't like, because I forget it's there, and I compare it to the chicane before, and it's completely different. So I always end up messing that up. I think my favourite bit, I really like camp. We don't do it on the Dick Mayo Sprint, but we do it on our other sprints that we run. And I've not done one of the other sprints in ages, but it's a really, really nice corner. I really, really enjoy it.
That's interesting answers. I like that, and I get exactly what you mean about Bobby's. You're not phased at all by over Avon Rising to Quarry, then?
No, just go for it. Hope for the best.
So we don't tell you the stat that over 50% of all motor racing accidents in this country happen at Quarry Corner, then? We don't tell you that?
I mean, I've never done anything wrong there. I've spanned in multiple other places on the circuit, but touch wood, nothing has ever happened there. So I like the sound of that. We've even got some people watching, I'm glad to hear, that are going to be racing. Rob Pack, looking forward to competing Saturday in the TVR Tuscan. Oh my word! I'm having a moment that we're having a TVR Tuscan on Saturday. Andy's quickly checking the entry list because he's worried now that it's not on there.
No, I'm just wondering what class, whether it's road or whether it's modified.
It's the bonkers class, basically. I mean, TVR Tuscans and Combe go like that. We've had a big love affair with that one. Glad to hear Hugo's going to jump in and watching that one as well. Gerald Howe, one of our Orange Army dudes, is saying, saw Heather Calder, who I believe was British champion at Combe 2 or 3 years ago. Awesome to see.
Yeah, she was champion 2 and 3 years ago.
Was it?
She held she holds the record for the sprint. She did because when we do the British Championship, there's an extra lap. So you do the 3/4 lap and then you do a 1 lap. And I think her 1 lap pace was 59.24 or something like that. Pretty quick on cold tyres, really. But they're doing like 180 up Avon Rise, so it's pretty nuts. That does sound amazing. So many of them talking about coming back now. We're talking about it. Lewis Bird says I might do a few next year, as my mate plans to as well. I've just got a few repairs to do for next meeting, as in probably the next race meeting that you're referring to there. There's quite a few, Claire, that have kind of gone
from this to racing, but then they still can't get the sprint out of their bike. They still want to go and do all of that, and I can get that why. Have you done it, or have you been? I know we just talked about you don't think you'd have the awareness. Have you ever been tempted to go and give it a go, though?
I think there's always part of you, isn't there, that just wants to know what it would be like. But yeah, I've never been brave enough. Never been brave enough to try it.
And picking up on the bravery element there, and I love it when I get to speak to all the racing drivers, and even the ones that you think are just the coolest cats in the world anyway, they still tell you, no, I can't eat. Leading into the race, my stomach's all over the place. Some of them will just go into the zone, and I'm too late to speak to them or whatever else. Do you have that when you're doing a sprint, or do you find it relaxed enough?
When I first started, I used to get incredibly nervous. I'd get really nervous for it. Now I'm not too bad. I find weirdly the most nervous point I am in the day is actually driving to the race circuit. I don't know why, but at that point in the day, I always feel nervous. But then as soon as I'm there, talking to the people that I know, with the people I know, it's such a friendly atmosphere that you just sort of forget about all the nerves. I think you can sit on the start line and you sort of have that little heart flutter, and then the light turns green, and then your head's in the zone. You then just don't think about it. But yeah, definitely used to be horrific. Used to be so nervous. But yeah, much better now.
I think you kind of still got to have a degree of adrenaline in there, don't you? Andy, do you miss that? Because obviously you say you used to sprint.
Yeah, well, I'm just too lazy to do it now. But yeah,
you're honest.
I'm still competing occasionally. I'm on a break. But I'm doing.
Is this a Ross and Rachel break? I don't know, right?
Yeah, a bit like that. But my wife's not annoyed with me. She's quite happy. Not
what she said, but carry on.
Yeah, so I'm doing auto solos, which I find is a massive buzz. It's amazing how much fun you can have in second gear, and I actually quite enjoy that. Despite in comparison to I used to do sports races and single seaters, and they were amazing, but it's completely different, and I get something different from it. I enjoy it.
Love it. Well, Claire, I've got to say thank you so much for joining us, and I'm just conscious that even on the back we've got some dads and sons as well. I've got 4 more guests to bring on in a second, but I could carry on chatting to you for ages, but I'll speak to the ugly ones next. So I'm just looking; they can all hear me saying that. Thank you so much for coming on. I look forward to seeing you on Saturday. Hopefully I'll get a chance to say hi and what have you in the paddock or whatever, but best of luck with it, and get that record back.
Perfect. Lovely. Thank you very much. See you on Saturday.
All the best. Thanks, Claire.
Bye.
So that was Claire Tooth. Good call, Andy. You called Claire coming on the show. You called that absolutely brilliantly. An absolute pleasure to have Claire on the show. I'm trying to work out now whether we can get all 4 of these dudes on at the same time. This is drivers and their dads from the Combe environment. I had to keep it, it's Combe TV. We've got to keep it all about Castle Combe, haven't we? And I'm going to bring on the drivers themselves. So we've got Matt Parr.
Hello, good evening.
Oh.
Hello, mate.
John Lannon. Hello, mate.
Hello, John.
Someone who couldn't be on here, but was going to be as well, that you will know as well, is Dave Spiller. Dave and his dad are racing on the weekend, but sadly both of them are busy tonight. And now to bring out the dads. So for Matt Parr, I shouldn't call him Papa Parr this time. That's what I call him in every show.
I knew that was coming. Good evening, Chris. Evening, gents.
Evening, mate.
Evening, Andy.
And for John Lannon, we've got his dad as well, Tony Lannon. Let's. I'm trying to work out whether. Yeah, I think I can. What's the best way to do this? I'm going to bring you down here, Andy. Get you out of the way. There we go. We got Chris and Matt Parr, Tony and John Lannon. Evening, gents.
Hello. Good evening. All right.
Look at Matt sunning himself in the garden, look, eh?
I was just looking at John's wallpaper. You need to change your wallpaper, John. You had that last time, Chris.
Oh, yeah, what, in the awards show, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, we've got a drink as well.
Thank you, John and Tony, because I know this was 11th hour. It was only when I was doing my final prep and I was looking down the list and suddenly went, oh my word, John's on there as well. So it's great to see you guys. I'm going to very quickly start with Matt, though, because I'm going to put up, you broke the record. When was this, Matt?
2017, I think, in my Golf GTI.
Was it?
Yeah, fastest front-wheel drive A4, so fastest front-wheel drive road car that's ever gone on the Great Western.
Wow.
And it wasn't as fast as it ended up either when I did it. I sold it before I'd done what I finished doing with it, before I could do a Great Western to race in Combe Saloons in 2018.
Okay, I got you.
Sprinted in 17 in that, and then sold that to afford to pay to race in 2018 in Combe Saloons.
Got you. And now it's not that car that you and your dad are going to be sprinting. This is an MX-5, which you're also having some record-breaking success in as well.
Yeah, it's just a bit of fun. I just find it's nice and relaxed. The days are really relaxed. I don't find it as tense. I don't find it anywhere near as tense and as stressful. You can kind of keep your head.
Well, one of us finds it relaxed.
Yeah, I just want to keep my head.
We don't both find it relaxed.
But you don't find race days relaxed when he's doing the racing either, Chris, do you? To be fair, you're always, which I look forward to seeing you guys back for the race days, by the way.
Hopefully August is the
really?
Is what we've
looking forward to it.
Talking about, yeah.
Good. Yeah. Well, let's just quickly, I'm going to put this up. Let's just have a look at this record-breaking lap. Do we ignore the fluffed gear change at the beginning that shows that you could have gone faster as well?
Probably.
Let's have a look. So I've now been informed that I've got to correct myself. I got duff information. That wasn't Matt. That wasn't. That was Andy Laurence that had the record before Matt broke it. Is that what you said, Andy?
Yeah, pretty much. Technically, it's still the record. And as you correctly pointed out, I could have gone quicker. But Matt broke the record last year, but because of some bizarre reason with COVID, they wouldn't let the record stand, which is gives me the dubious honour of having a class record that has been beaten, but I still hold, which is really awkward, especially when you're on Combe TV.
How bizarre. I mean, that's very, very odd. Right. Apologies, Matt. I thought I misunderstood. This was all sort of like getting stuff sent to me at literally just before the show. So my mistake. I misread the email from Andy. But all right. So that was Andy's record-breaking one. And yes, with the fluff. That was in an MX-5, was it, Andy?
Yeah. It's parked outside, actually.
Right, and that's what you, Matt, you and your dad are now piloting this MX-5 and having a whale of a time. You even broke a record. Where was it? Last week, wasn't it?
Landau. Yeah, we went a couple of seconds quicker than the previous record. Yeah.
Do they stand now, Andy?
Yeah.
Are we past this weird COVID?
Yeah, it stands. Yeah, yeah. It's noted down.
Okay, fair dues. So you're going for that this weekend then, Matt?
Yeah, I'll just go out and have a bit of fun, really. It's quite nice. Just go out for a little Saturday drive, and just see what it's like.
Behave. Play it cool, Trig. Play it cool. You'll have it until your dad goes out and he'll beat you on it.
Exactly
hey,
that. That's what I'm worried about. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm worried about.
I don't think that's very likely, to be honest. I think there's only going to be one part breaking lap records this weekend, if we're going to be brutally honest about it.
But at the pub the other day, you were saying you were that fast 20 years ago. It's just age, and you've got a little slower.
Exactly that, I reckon.
Well, that's it. Yeah, the older you get, the faster you were, isn't it?
And hold up, was this pub in Sodbury by any chance?
No, it's down the road from Landau.
Oh, okay. Well, what goes on in Landau stays in Landau. All right, you shouldn't be sharing that info.
Fair point. Well presented.
Tony Lannan. Now, obviously, you're the pops on this one, but this is your car. So does that mean you're going to be the faster of the two in that one?
Does that mean I'm the oldest? I probably am. Yeah.
You don't need to talk about any records here, Chris.
Because this is a road-going Saxo, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not the same as what John's got. By no means. There's a long way off. So at least he means he can drive it flat out. So yeah. So it's nothing special. This one isn't. But curiously, what was the time then that Andy was saying your record was or is then? What was the? Because I've no idea of Dick Mayo times whatsoever.
Now you're asking questions, aren't you? I'm printing out the commentary stuff for Saturday. Yeah, I don't know the record.
Can you remember what you did last year in the MX-5, Matt?
No,
71. I think you did a low 71, and I did a mid to high 73. I think so. Let's put it this way: he demolished the class record, and everyone stood around going, "How did that happen?"
So we'll add about 10 seconds to that, Dad. So about 81.
We're with a bit of luck. We'll be in the 80s with a bit of luck.
What is it? I think it's 160 horsepower. It's over a ton, so it's not it's not fast. It's fast enough to to just have a bit of fun in really without scaring you.
But talking on that, John, how do you deal with this one? Because, of course, we're used to seeing you out in a fully race-prepared Saxo. And I know that there was the comment going, hold the fort, how's John got his Saxo into the Class A2 road going? And it's like, because it's not that one. But you must have to sort of disconnect from the Saxo you're used to driving to the one that you're going to be in on Saturday.
Well, I think most of the old parts that Dad's got were off mine. So whenever we kind of upgraded the race car, whatever came off went on Dad's car. So I think the car's pretty similar to what we used for sprinting probably like 3 years ago. So hopefully it will come back.
So you guys used to sprint together back in the day as well?
Yeah. So the car I'm racing in now was the one we used to sprint in like 4 or 5 years ago.
Wow. Okay.
Before it had the mods done, yeah. So I've got your old. It's a basic engine. It's a basic. Yeah, it's got bodies on it, but it's a basic engine. John's old one before he started. No, you actually did start racing with that one, didn't you? Yeah, you did when you first went into in Hot Hatch. You did, didn't you?
Yeah. Play it down as much as you can, Dad. Play it down so we got the expectation of it.
Well, I'll tell you, the suspension on mine does that.
Right.
So that's all now. But next year will be the day. Next year.
Our aim will just be, I don't know. Oh, my aim's just to beat Dad. I think we're in the same class as Claire, so Claire's going to wipe the floor with us, I'm sure.
Well, I was just looking at that to see how many Claires there was. So that was Claire Tooth, was it?
It was Claire Tooth, yeah, absolutely.
In the Elise, yeah. So
yeah,
I see they had first and third at Landau last week, Matt, didn't they? Where you were. So in that class, in the A2s, that was.
Yeah, they did.
Okay.
So that's going to be interesting. But
no, that will be intriguing. So Tony and John, well, Tony, first of all, were you sprinting before John got involved in sprinting?
No,
we started together. Oh, it's the other way around.
It's the other way around. Yeah, he said, you've got to have a go, because John had did it a year or two down, because I'm down in Cornwall and there's a few sprints and hill climbs down here. And John said, you've got to have a go. And I thought, no, I'll crash your car. And John always said, don't worry about it. Just have a go. So I did the last one down in Tregrain in St Austell, this hill climb. And as soon as I done it, I thought, it was the last one of the season as well, which is the wrong way round.
Yeah.
As soon as I'd done it, God, this is brilliant fun. I got to do this. And of course, it's got you then, isn't it?
Yeah,
so then I got this little old Saxo, and then that's only about 4 or 5 years ago, and then do a lot down here. I was hoping to do the like Matt mentioned, the Great Western one last year. The car was all loaded on the trailer, all ready to go, and it was cancelled. Was it the day before or 2 days before, something like that? The car was all ready to go, all gassed up to come up to the Great Western one, but that was cancelled last year. So I'm keeping fingers crossed that the Great Western one later on in the year, I can't remember the month, but that's later on in the year, isn't it? So,
yeah, it's the last weekend of October, I think. But last year,
End of October,
it was the first day of COVID. So that day that everything happened on lockdown, that was the Great Western Sprint.
yeah, I think it probably was the day before that it was cancelled. Because I say it was all strapped, the car was all strapped down, ready to go, and then and that was that. But
hey, you think that's bad? Matt broke a record and it didn't stand because of COVID. So you just be lucky, you know.
yeah, he's got guaranteed.
So John, how long ago did you start sprinting then, John?
Me? I think it was probably 5 years ago. So it was, because I remember it was Claire's mum. It was Zoe that really basically got me into it when I was trying to find out. She was super helpful in getting me into it because I wouldn't have had a clue. And she basically said, do this, do that. And I think the first one we did was Landau. And I had no idea what I was doing. And yeah, that's how I got into it. So Claire's mum was really helpful getting me into sprinting. And then did that for a couple of years. And then it was actually the Dick Mayo in 2018. First lap, I think I was fourth on first practice, and I just crashed at Quarry and smashed up the front of the car. And that was the trigger. That was the trigger to do circuit racing. So I was like, well, I've got to pretty much rebuild it. I might as well rebuild it ready to go racing.
I had to get a picture of that one. Well, I remember that day. We was down St Ives, lovely, beautiful, sunny day, and all of a sudden this picture came over the front of the car, and you must have used God knows how many rolls of gaffer tape on the front, the bonnet, the bumper, everything was.
I found the old Bristol Motor Club newsletter. I was going through the cupboards, and that's a massive picture, like a centerfold. And it's got loads of duct tape on the front. You've got all these brilliant looking cars, and then mine covered in duct tape.
I've got to say, before I forget to say it again, Tony, I'm loving the T-shirt, the 70.
I've got to put it on, haven't I? I've got to put it on.
Absolutely. Much respect. Hopefully, we'll be having the 70+1 celebration as the awards do at the end of the year in the shadows of Concord. We still got to do something because it's a big celebration, isn't it? Just because it got cancelled last year. Matt and Chris, was it? Come to you first, Chris. Is that? Was it the same thing for yourself that Matt was already doing stuff and he got you to do it, or had you done stuff in the past?
No, Matt was. No, I did some karting years ago, 20 odd years ago. And it was at a point where I just thought, well, I fancy doing something. Matt's doing his circuit racing. I fancy doing something, but I didn't want to spend a silly amount of money. And Matt already went to the Bristol Motor Club sort of evenings and kind of saw the MX-5 thing and thought, well, that looks pretty good. It's quite standard. It's not silly money. It's a bit of fun. Nobody takes it hugely serious. Well, that's what we thought at the time, but it's a bit more serious than we thought. And thought, well, I'll have a little crack at that. So I bought an MX-5 and thought, well, do a couple of things to it, and then a couple of things led to a couple more things, and a couple more things led to a few more things, and so we did that. Originally, I was just going to do it on my own, and Matt was going to be my support. And then the first one we did was the Dick Mayo last year, and Matt won that and obviously got that unofficial record. And then we decided, well, he may as well do it as well. So so he started doing it as well, and we double drive it. So, and it's actually really good because Matt's a great instructor. So we've done a few track days, and he's been sat in the passenger side, and it's like going out to your teacher for the day, because you can see him shaking his head as if to say, "What on earth are you doing? Come on, what are you doing?" And it's just, you know, and that's okay. I can live with that. But the most humiliating bit is when you get thrashed by 6 seconds in your own car. You know, it's yeah. So it's, people think it's humiliating being beaten by Matt, but when he does it in your own car against you, it's even worse.
Yeah.
So no, it's good fun. It's good fun. Really enjoying it, and it's a good fun championship. Everybody's a good laugh, and it reality is people don't take it too seriously, and it's a nice chilled day out. Really enjoy it.
And that's the key thing, is that certainly, I think I put it in the description, is that I just sort of like came up with it with what the impression I got from the sprint is the whole nature of it being friendly and welcoming and all of that sort of stuff, but also affordable. And you mentioned that there, Chris, as well. And I guess it's probably easier to stick with you on this one again, Chris, to be honest with you, is that for those that are watching it don't necessarily fully understand it, and I will admit that includes me, do you need to do the same things that you need to do to go circuit racing? Like if you've got to go and get your ARDS license, if you've got to go and get all this stuff to be able to go and do sprinting?
No, you haven't. That's the nice thing about it. You've obviously got to get a competition license, but it's the inter-club license, so you've got no ARDS to do. You just get your license and you can go sprinting. And that's the great thing about it. You've got to get a race suit, you've got to get a lid. But that's about it, really. And you can do it, if you want to do it, in a bog standard road car. You don't have to spend silly amount of money. You can do it on your standard road tyres, your standard suspension, and, you know, use the car that you drive to work every day if you want to do that. If you want to spend a bit more money, you can do that. But you don't have to, and that's the lovely thing about it. You go out and have really good, cheap motorsport.
Does it? And again, apologies, it's a silly question, but I'm just trying to make sure everybody understands it. Is that presumably the cost? I mean, we're talking about you could, you know, take your daily.
Oh,
yeah, that's it. We have control, guys.
That's it now.
We've lost our leader.
I've lost that leader.
This is awkward. Should we all go and get a beer?
I've got a question, Matt. Do you and your dad have some sort of competition, like a trophy between you?
No, we don't. But I'm not.
Well, there won't be much point, would there? Let's face it.
Because when we started doing it, Dad straight away bought a trophy specifically, and we set up an own competition.
It was called the first. I didn't engrave first trophy, so it was father. What was it first? Wasn't it? What was the I? What was it?
Fast.
Yeah, fast. I can't remember. Father. I don't know. Father and son trophy.
Father
yeah, it was the first trophy.
Yeah.
So this time I've got
my notes for it. So
have I chosen what I got now? I'll come get a new one.
What was that, Matt?
I said I think the only way of doing this is to do it with £20 notes. So we put a £20 note down before the meeting, and then whoever wins takes a £20 note.
Do pink slips.
Does that work?
The dads are looking a little bit less enamoured by that.
I'm not sure. I think this money's only going to go in one direction, isn't it? Really? Perhaps we should
this is the one that me and John are fighting.
5-second rule, so we need to finish within 5 seconds or whatever.
Handicap.
I like that one. I like that. That's a lot of good. By the way, thank you for seamlessly carrying on as though nothing happened there. Much appreciated, guys. I've no idea what happened. It just suddenly it went wrong, and so come back in again. Or as Tim Perry says, he said, "Oh no, upset the current Mrs. Dawes." I haven't, mate. She's bought me a top up, so I'm doing all right there.
But Chris, I think touching on the fact of you saying what you're about to say, think about can you use your daily.
Yeah, and I was about to say like roll cages and things like that.
So my Golf GTI started off as a bog standard Golf GTI, really nice car, and it evolved over 4 years. It ended up having an LSD. Well, it was 190 horsepower at factory. Ended up being 300 horsepower. limited slip diffs, bucket seats, but I used to drive it every day. Motorsport suspension. There was a lot done to it. Porsche brakes on it from a 911 Carrera S. I did quite a lot of work on it to the point of it kind of wasn't a very good daily, but I did used to drive it every day to work. I like sprint it on a Saturday or a track day, do what I wanted to do with it, turn up at Combe, sprint it on a Saturday, drive it to work on a Monday. And it used to work okay. Obviously, if you crash it, it's going to cause you a problem.
Yeah.
And Dad always used to say to me, just, you're not in your cart now, just calm it down a little bit. Once you're out there, you don't think of it, do you? I never had a problem with it. I used to do it like
But
that.
do you need to put things like roll cages and stuff like that in?
No.
Okay. So you literally, this is what I'm getting to, that whole angle that this is properly affordable way to go and do some racing.
Yeah, it's properly affordable. Like you can literally turn up with a completely standard car straight out the showroom. All you need is a timing strut and an arrow pointing at the tow hitch, and you can do it from 14 now as well.
And the best thing about it is you could use a rental car if you wanted to.
No, you can't. You definitely can't use a rental car.
That may have happened at some point.
What a good idea.
Who was it was telling? Somebody was telling us about doing that, Matt, weren't they? Who was it was telling us?
Don't get them into. This is a live show. This is a live show.
It was a Vauxhall Vectra. Oh, no, I wouldn't say who it was, but I think it was a Vauxhall Vectra, wasn't it, that they did a sprint with?
I think so. Yeah, something like that. It was along those lines.
I can't remember.
I quite fancy doing it. Because
I did my first event in a company car.
What?
Wow.
Yeah, it was great, except back then there was this little magazine called In Gear Motorsport, and they used to cover like proper grassroots motorsport, and I thought, I'm going to this tiny little club event, no one will ever know, and I found this magazine on the shelf in my lunch break at the local newsagent from where I was working, and I flipped through and I had looked and I was like, oh, that's the event I was at, and there was a picture of me turning like that round the corner. You could read the number plate. You could even read Arnold Clark in the writing on the bottom of the number plate. And if that wasn't bad enough, it had the caption next to it. Andy Laurence was regularly on three wheels in his Megane. It's like, so I've got a few copies of that, and I've left that job a long time ago. So it's all good now.
You say you got a few copies. You went and got them all so that the company didn't see them. Basically, that's what happened there, wasn't it?
Yeah.
John, what about tyres, though? I mean, presumably you guys get through a set of tyres there, don't you? Or is that still good as well?
That's the thing. They last so long because it's obviously not as much as circuit racing. So you can do easily. You can do a season, probably even 2 seasons. And they're similar tyres. So I think you're allowed. I'm a bit out of the loop with it, but I think 1A and 1B. So, like, basically, Dad can bolt on the race tyres that we use at Combe and use them for the weekend. But yeah, I think quite regularly you'd end up doing 2 seasons without changing the tyres. So,
and I have just realised I've realised the stupidity of my comment, really, because of course the reality is each one of you is doing 4 lots of what, 4/5 of a lap or something to that effect, whatever it works out. So actually, it's not going to be a big issue on that front.
Yeah, the costs are so low. Like Chris was saying, you need all the race gear, but then you've got it all, and then it's just pretty much the entry fee. I mean, like Matt was saying, when I started, I bought the Sacto I bought for 900 quid. Just bought some nice tyres for it and just started like that. And then, like you say, over the years, you kind of put more on it to make it a bit quicker, but you can literally do that. And the other great thing is there's always someone to compete against. So even if you have a bog standard car with some nice tyres on, you'll be able to race against someone. So it's not like you're doing times like 20 seconds slower than someone.
And the other thing I think is quite nice about the sprints, especially for people that maybe have looked at circuit racing, there's the other people factor. Like, circuit racing is so changeable every lap with other people. You haven't got other people following you in front of you on your rear bumper. So all you can do is concentrate on doing one fast lap each time. You haven't got that sort of anxiety of thinking, oh, is he going to dive at the inside of me? Even like on a track day, is someone going to catch me? Is someone going to do this? You haven't got any of that. You could literally tape up your mirrors and go to stop yourself from doing it. If that's what you need to do. And I think that's quite nice of a sprint because you haven't got to worry about anyone else. And that's maybe why sort of me and John have found it relaxed, less sort of on it, because you're not thinking, oh, I've got to follow someone, I've got catching someone, and there's, you take that part of the thinking out of it because you don't need to worry about it with a sprint.
And you could be taken out by someone else making a mistake in a race. That's the nature of the beast.
Matter.
Yeah,
that's one nice thing with them. You can go as fast as you possibly can within your comfort zone, not worrying about anyone else.
I'm getting sold on this. I hope everybody watching this is loving this idea because it sounds absolutely epic. Andy Laurence, I'm going to come to you for a second then, mate. So somebody's watching this and they suddenly go, I fancy this. What do they do? Go to your website and contact you guys, I guess.
Yeah, website, social media, whatever. We've got a group on Facebook. But yeah, if you're local to Bristol and you want to do this sort of stuff, then yeah, get in touch with Bristol Motor Club and we'll help you do it. But essentially, if you've got a car and you can buy yourself a lid and a suit, you're good to go.
I've just posted in the chat. Hopefully, everyone will be able to see it. bristolmc.org.uk. Go and have a look and find out. If it's something that you can and you want to get involved in. Certainly, it sounds it. And one of the things I was asking, just by the by, is that I know Matt and John, you guys will have the hands device, which I actually think is the best invention that has come out in motorsport by
100%.
miles. But do you need it for sprinting? I'm guessing the answer is no.
No, you don't. Even so, in Dad's MX-5, that's a road-going car with harnesses. We don't have to wear hands. So it's a good idea to, but to be honest, unless you do something pretty seriously wrong, you're not really, I say if someone's not that experienced, it might be a good idea sometimes, but I think, you can use it if you want to, but it's not mandatory. And
which is good. So another way of keeping the cost down.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not going to get hit. So if you spin in a race, then if you spin across all the cars coming, you can be stopped and someone can head on you at 70 miles an hour. You're going to want a hands at that point.
Yeah.
But the only thing you can hit when you're sprinting are the barriers, and actually they're softer and a bit further away. So you tend to be going slower by the time you hit them. Isn't that right, John?
Yeah, especially with the rector cell barriers these days. They're amazing. As I always say, made out of unicorn fluff and the lint from a mouse's handkerchief, and they're just magical that you can hit them and come out and carry on. They're amazing. Out of interest though, Matt and John, do you? Because you guys will obviously have the hands. Do you wear them when you're sprinting or not bother? Or should I not ask that?
If I can, I would. I don't. Yours, Dad's don't have a roll cage, but. It needs the kind of the right angle to be able to put it to, but that's the one thing I noticed going back is it feels I want to wear it. So yeah, if I can, I will, because it just feels that much kind of safer.
Yeah. Because you're used to it, isn't it, Matt? Yourself?
I haven't done purely for the fact of kind of ease with the sprints because we're sharing the car. We're sort of one out, one in. You don't really have much time, which is fine, but we just, I just find it just as easy. If I'm going out in a race car and I'm going to be with other people, there's about a shadow of a doubt I'd wear one. Yes. Because I'm on my own and I've got enough trust in myself, I kind of like, if I do it on my own, I know it's only my fault and it's my fault. Whereas I don't have that sort of thing in my head of getting hit by someone in another 800 kilo car.
Mm-hmm.
And like we touched on, the barriers are quite soft. So you'd have to be going a hell of a speed and probably keep your foot down to hit them hard enough to really hurt your sternum. Obviously, that's what they're for, is to stop you, your helmet sort of smashing your sternum there. So I think, you'd have to do something quite bad to get in that sort of situation. I have thought about it, but I just haven't worn one really because it's a road class.
No, I mean, it makes sense. I was just interested. You know me, I'm always soaking up information from you guys because I love it. Just quickly, is that Richard Forres, or Ricardo Forres as I call him, loving the show. Alex and I are inspired to come and have some fun. Sounds great. And that's a big deal because Richard does a lot of historic racing, has been racing for many, many years. And his son, Alex, I know these two really well and they're good friends of mine. He has been sort of dipping in and out of British Formula 3, as well as F3 Cup, and he would have been trying to sort of challenge the for the outright lap record when the F3 Cup were there. If he was there this year, he's that quick because he was in the monopostos previously as well. And yet these are guys that are both there going, well, actually, this sounds really cool. I want to give it a go. And that's what I love, is that we've got the mix there between. You know, certainly for those from the Castle Combe fraternity, they'll know Matt Parr, they'll know John Lannon, and they support them from the sidelines and whatever else. And the fact that we've got Papa Parr and Tony Lannon here as well that are doing it, it shows that you can be racers, you can not be racers, you can start with sprinting, move on to racing, you still come back and do the sprinting. It just sounds like so much fun. I mean, Tony, you said yourself you did it right at the end of the year. And it hooked you, but you then had to wait until the following year. But by the sounds of it, it hooked you enough that even with that wait, you still had that buzz that you were ready to go for it.
Yeah, and in fact, this year I was hoping that I had my odds all paid for and ready to go this year. But so I wanted to have a go in the saloons. John said have a go in the hot hatch, but I wanted to put the car. I'll be at the back, but I would have some fun. So.
Wow.
But the odds was put back because of COVID, and then it was put back and back and back. So, and then the car, you know, it was never going to happen this year because of all that. So I was even going to have a go at circuit racing this year just to have a bit of fun. But
properly got the bug. Properly got the bug then.
Still doing the Saxo next year, Dad.
Well, might do. I am 64. I'll be the oldest one out there, I swear. But I would like to go with it one season.
We got plenty of older gents and ladies still out there racing, and I do love that as well. These guys that listen to my commentary will know I love a story, I love a subplot to work with when we're commentating. It's not just about the action; it's about the theatre and everything. And I'm a fan in the commentary box, and I love all of that. So I love the sound of that, Tony. I think I know the answer to this, Chris. I'm going to ask it anyway. Are you tempted to sort of go that similar route and get involved in circuit, or are you two sort of going, nope, sprints are for me?
No, that's sprints are for me. No, circuit racing now, I feel, well, for a start, it's a sort of a financial big hole in the ground, isn't it? And I'd rather focus on Matt's circuit racing, to be honest, and just have a bit of fun with the sprints. Yeah, it's not something I fancy doing at all now. Maybe when I was younger, but not now.
Yeah, we spoke about it, didn't we? And like, you know, we've said we'll, you know, get Dad out in the Peugeot just on a track there or something to drive it, just to see what it's like. But yeah, you just don't obviously fancy the actual racing side of it.
Well, that's why I love seeing the difference between it, and that's what it's all about. Everybody's got their, and that's why sprinting is so successful. Is everybody's got their different fancies and priorities and everything else. Hey, Chris, well done on getting in the passenger seat with Matt. That's more than he's managed to get from me.
Well, it's a pretty terrifying experience, I have to say, and it's actually worse in the MX-5 than it is in the Peugeot. The MX-5 really is seriously scary in the passenger seat. Yeah, it's not a nice experience at all. so it's
quite loose, isn't it?
And the funny thing. Yeah, so we went to Combe, when was it? A couple of months ago, and it was wet in the morning. So I said, right, I'm going to go out in the rain because I've never driven that car in the wet, around Combe. Thought it'd be a bit of fun. Found myself coming in almost crying with laughter because I was just having so much fun in it, just going sideways. Because it's not a fast car to scare you, but it's really easy. Turn the traction control off, come off of a corner, and it will just go sideways. So you can just hold it on a constant slide coming off of a corner. And Dave Spiller was out in his race mini, and behind me, and him and Pete were laughing at me going sideways in front of them. And they were like enjoying following me at a distance, just whilst I was just having some fun. And I came in almost crying with laughter, and Dad wouldn't get in at all. Weren't even getting in the dry, Landau, Combe, nowhere. We are. Not at all.
I get you, Chris. I do totally, because and I explained to Matt it was nothing to do with any kind of aspersions at Matt. Is that it's when you're not the one in control, it's a different gravy, isn't it?
No. But the funny thing was as well, Pete Spiller went out with Dave Spiller and came back in fuming and ranting and raving when they got out of the car because what a lunatic Dave was in the wet. First lap, he said, full map par over the brow into quarry, sideways all the way through. And I said to him, but Pete, what were you expecting? You know, he's going to show off. You've got a passenger seat in there. I don't know why you put yourself through it. Just don't do it.
No, I know what you mean. But the weird thing is that, I mean, I guess that it's more, you've tried to sort of go down this driver coaching route, which I guess is a good way to go. I mean, Matt doing it for Chris. I don't know. John, have you has there been any need for any driver coaching for your dad?
No, I wouldn't be able to beat him otherwise if I told him all the secrets.
Good point. Good point.
No, I think the only time we've ever been out is I was the passenger to Dad at Landau, and the very first corner, I was like, "This doesn't feel right. You need to turn," and he just went straight on and completely missed the corner.
He just said, "What are you doing?
I rest my case about why I struggle. But I mean, interestingly, Matt, is I know that you give me banter about the fact that I resisted going out with yourself on that day, and but you've now been in a passenger seat, presumably with your dad. How do you feel?
It terrifying being a passenger.
Thank you.
So I think because I'm not in control, and I don't know, I don't find it terrifying. I think because it's not in control, I'll say to Dad, right, at Tower, brake at the marshal's post. I know you can do it because I do it. So brake, and then he doesn't, and then I just because obviously, you know, it's just an experience and a confidence thing. And I think there's been a couple, I kind of find it scary, but I kind of find it quite enjoyable at the same time in a kind of weird way, because I'm sat there and I can feel the car step before Dad does. I can feel it and I'm like, we're going to go round. And then we go round. And I'm like,
we've spun everywhere. Every track we've been, we've spun.
Yeah.
Good arrows. That's good arrows.
I did some tuition with a friend of mine who's got a GT3 RS 997, and that was terrifying. He was he's never really done anything motorsport wise. It was on a Porsche Club GB track day, and he said, "Can you come up and just help me?" Yeah, that's fine, no worries. And I turned it up and I said, "Oh, hello mate, you alright?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "What are those on your feet?" And he looked at me in like a perplexed look. And I said, "What?" And he went, "Well, what do you mean? What's wrong with these?" I said, "You cannot go driving in those. Not round here. I won't get in the car with you." And he went, "Well, I don't know what you mean." And he had Crocs on. And he's getting in a 500 horsepower GT3. And he was wearing Crocs. I said, "Right, come on. Get your car and go to Merlin." So I marched him to Merlin and he bought some boots. Because I thought there's no way you can ride in Crocs. And that was terrifying.
And can't we bring up a conversation that surely you're not cool enough to have a Porsche GT3 RS if you wear Crocs?
Well, it does make you wonder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all the money he saved on shoes he can afford to buy one.
That's right.
True. Well, I have a pair, I'm not going to lie, but that's for when I'm doing the gardening. That's it. They get destroyed and they're just easy to slip on, slip off. But crikey, fair dues.
That was a terrifying experience, and he'd never really done much track day stuff. So that was quite scary as well.
I can assure you as well, mate, it's blooming terrifying when you're out with someone like you guys that know what you're doing and you're like flat out, because for us, we're like going, surely I should have broken about an hour ago. And you're not able to be in control of it, not able to feel it. Plus, as I openly say, is that I suffer from anxiety, which means that I end up writing the headlines, you know, commentator killed the night before the awards night or whatever. And that was what it was, wasn't it? It was the night before the awards show. I had the headlines in my head. That's what anxiety does, I'm afraid. But I hate it. I really want to do it because I pulled away from that day going, I'm absolutely gutted because I get the chance to go out and some amazing things, and it just terrifies me.
I think you wouldn't have
all Mickey taken aside. All the Mickey taken aside with it. I mean, Matt's given me some really good pointers with it, and without that instruction, you know, it would take you a long time to get to a certain speed, and you'd be making a lot of errors. And just things like now at Landau last weekend, just little things, rather than being out in the car, just sort of talking about it in between runs and saying, well, you know, what about this bit? What about that bit? And you start to sort of get the feeling that you're getting it together a bit. But you don't need to be in the car. It's just having that experience to sort of plug into, really, which is useful, really useful.
And I get that because, you know, like even last weekend I was commentating on British GT at Donington, and I cover GT Cup and everything. And that, of course, GT racing is where you've got the AMs that in this country now, we're blessed. We've got some phenomenally talented AMs that will partner up with a pro. And you watch these AMs, and I'm sure you guys, in particular, Matt and John, you'll look at them and go, Jesus, they're amazing racing drivers. And yet can throw the pro in and they suddenly like blitz their lap times. And you think, well, what are they doing that's so different, for crying out loud? And you've got this staggered approach, haven't you? Is that, you know, whether it's dads and the racing sons, and then you got the pros that are being paid to go and drive these GT cars and coach. There's so much that you can learn, and I've watched these AMs improve dramatically, and it's great to see that you guys, with this car share thing, that's something else that the sprint brings to you as well.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, the ability to keep it, that's been a key thing for me, is like that you can keep it in the family. Because it's not just me and dad, like effectively my father-in-law to be and brother-in-law to be, they do it as well. So they're there this weekend as well. And you can, like, all four of us would do it together. And because you can share a car and that's the true only really.
Saves even more, doesn't it?
You can get different cars and you always be like, well, that car's better. If you're in the same car, it's a genuine fight between you. Right. Who's quicker? You can't get that anywhere.
Well, this is what we're fighting for Saturday. This is a chocolate medal. This is the first.
Let's put you up to 4. Look, do that again.
I don't think I'll be eating it.
That's brilliant. I do love that. Andy, I've got to come to you a second, and I know that you were sort of joking, saying, you know, you're too lazy to do it, get going again, etc. But you know, as part of this show, surely, and I can almost see it in your face, you're there going, yeah, I need to get back out again.
Yeah, I do sometimes think, oh, well, maybe I will have a go, which is why it's like I'm on a break. But at the moment, I'm just, COVID's been a bit weird as well. So I kind of decided before COVID, I'm going to have a year off, and I've had a year off and year and a half off now. And I don't know. Maybe I'll come back. I mean, I haven't really stopped racing because I'm still doing the auto solos. But
true. Yeah.
I'm talking of which, if you want to go sideways, Matt, come to an auto solo. You haven't done any of those rounds, but I'm never going forwards, always sideways. And it's a brilliant way to learn car control because you're always like first and second gear, round the cones, drifting it a bit. It's good fun. Love it.
Yeah, Matt, that's the next one for you. I'm sure John will as well, but if you were talking, Matt, in particular, about going sideways, you'll love that one. I love the comment. Just a couple more comments. Mike Cole says, great show. I'll be leading the Orange Army on Saturday. Hero, thank you for that. Hoping Matt and John behave themselves.
I always behave. Always.
Yeah, where's this coming from, eh?
Thank you.
Chris Pearson, the Tog, says, John Lannon, thanks to that gearbox showing up, or you wouldn't be getting married.
Definitely, that was last year. Yeah,
it was. I remember it well, mate. I remember that one well.
April 2022.
See, and you thought that was a safe bet, didn't you? At that point,
it lasted for about a year. When it was against Matt, it was fine because he beat me by a mile. I was perfect until you stopped.
See what you've cost him, Matt.
I'll be back soon.
I like the sound of that. Listen, fathers and sons, thank you so much to the Pars and the Lannons. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on. And these are just obviously for the Combe TV. There's the Combe link with these 4 on. And as I say, the Spillers were hoping to be on, but they couldn't. But I know that you look at this list and there's plenty of family involvement throughout. And thank you so much for bringing it to life for us, guys. And the best of luck on Saturday.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. See you on Saturday.
See you in Paddock, guys. Thank you.
Thank
No
you.
problem.
you.
No problem. You stay there,
See you,
Andy
Sam.
Laurence. So let's put those guys back into the back. I mean, absolutely brilliant to get that insight, Andy, wasn't it?
It's brilliant. I mean, sharing cars is the best thing. Like I do the same with my MX-5 with a friend, and like you want to talk about costs. I bought it with a friend off of another friend who was selling up at that point. We paid 1,600 quid for the car, and it had a ECU in it. So we sold the ECU and put a standard one in because it wasn't allowed in the class. So we were 1,200 quid in, 600 quid each, and that was that. Sorted a bit of rust out, and we won 2 championships in it. It's fantastic.
I honestly, I'm thinking I've got to speak to you guys at some point. I'm just loving the sound of this, and of course, I'd love it that it'll be around our beloved Castle Combe. I know you go elsewhere as well, but the fact of just doing that and without the sort of like door-to-door stuff and everything, we've heard plenty of people then get hooked to take it further, but you don't have to. It could be that's it. That's, you know, as we heard from Claire, she's like, no, not interested. Doesn't fancy the door-to-door racing. It's great to do the sprints, and I'm certainly loving the sound of that. I'm just going to quickly bring up, for those that don't necessarily fully get it, I'm going to share another screen for a second. Let me put this up just so that people understand what's happening. Right, hopefully that's now sharing the screen. Yeah, there it is. I haven't got 2 monitors this time, so I've got to check. So the format: cars compete singularly, as you'll have got from the conversation, one at a time, starting from the pit lane to Westway, timed to 0.01 seconds, 1 practice and 3 timed runs, and your fastest. So it's not this, there's no adding them up or averages or anything. It is the fastest run that you manage to do in those goes is what counts. For Saturday, just to give you an idea, what happens is that you get a practice run from 9 a.m. and then your first timed run at 10:45. Then we take a lunch break. Why not? And then 1:30. These are rough times. It's just to give you an idea of this is how it's going to work out. But they are done in order: road cars, specialist road cars, modified cars, specialist modified cars, sports Libra, things like radicals and what have you. Libra, of course, being free. Rally cars, loving that one. Single-seater race cars, Vincenzo and Sons MX-5s, Bristol 2-litre Cup, and the Porsche Championship. And I cover those guys as well, actually, quite a few times. I forgot those. Just to quickly give you an idea, road cars, road usable, road registered, full interior, often highly modified, limited modifications, road tyres, original tuned engines, coilover suspension, non-metallic bushes, and they're broken down into classes depending on their engines. Wow, you can put bike engines in them, can you?
That's only in the specialist one, so that's kit cars. You can put bike engines in. You can put a bike engine in a normal car, but you'd end up in Sports Libra for the engine swap.
Got you. Fine. Understand. Modified cars based on road cars, touring cars, and kit cars on slick tires. Wow. Highly modified slick tires, stripped interiors, plastic windows and roll bars. And again, with the different engine sizes and unlimited and kit cars and what have you as well. Sports Libra, anything goes. Sports racing cars and anything that doesn't fit into road or modified. Almost no limitations. Any engine, any chassis, almost unconstrained aerodynamics. That just sounds so cool. And you got rally cars, so they fall into this one.
Yeah, because Sports Libra is anything goes. Anything that doesn't fit into the other 2 classes ends up in Libra. So if you have, if you modify your car a bit too much and decide to put a massive wing and a floor on it and swap the engine or something like that, basically that Audi in the background there that we were talking about earlier.
Oh yeah,
that's his. Oh no, that's his current car. So that's like, well, there's nothing from the original car there apart from the engine. But if you do that, then you get put into Sports Libra. But you can see what you're up against. You're going to need something pretty damn quick.
Well, certainly in terms of rally cars, we've got a couple of Nova SRs. Ford Escort, do you know what mark that is, Chris White?
Oh, good question.
2.3 litre engine.
Where am I? I'm not sure, but if that's a 2.3, that's going to be an interesting one.
Exactly, and a Porsche 911 as well, 911.
That's lovely. That's a classic, that is.
Yeah, it was classic rally in the Porsche 911. They had great success in reality, so that'll be interesting. We then move on to racing cars, so single-seater cars, purpose-built sprint cars, and converted circuit race cars on soft slick tires, any engine, any chassis, almost unconstrained aerodynamics. And certainly from the other week when I was at SNET, there was some incredible cars. Just looking at that, have we got any? We haven't actually really got much of those, have we?
No, it's a bit of a killer, actually. I was hoping you weren't going to mention that because it's the British Sprint Championship again, because the whole season's been messed up there at Liddon Hill.
Oh,
And
okay.
so
Hey,
those
listen.
two cars in the picture aren't there. So
The only reason why I even mentioned was the fact that it's just that class. I mean, you were full and you had reservations and everything, so it's not an issue. It was just interesting to see that we do have one Dave standing out in a Jeddah by the looks of it. I think that is a JKSF 75.
No,
is that not?
JKS isn't a Jedi. Yeah, no Jedis. That's got to be the first event I've ever been to. But there are some impressive cars there. Dave Cutcliffe and his Van Diemen. That's a wing car. So the whole thing's shaped like a wing. It's completely insane.
Really?
Like, you just got to see it. Your chin will hit the floor. But
I just got to remember to keep talking while I'm looking at it then.
yeah.
Incidentally, and I can't remember which one it was it maybe Dave Broadway put a comment about the fact that he's got a Mazda RX-8. No, it can't be that one. Sure, it might be that it's got a supercharger in it.
On an RX-8, that's brave, isn't it?
Well, quite. I think he did say. I might have even screenshotted this because I was like, right, I need to keep that as a note.
That's why he's entering a 3/4 lap event, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I thought I'd screenshotted that because I was like, oh, I need to remember that because that would be interesting. It was a social post by somebody and they mentioned that they were running for the first time with a supercharger on their RX-8. And I was like, holy moly, that's going to be mad. MX-5 Challenge. This is a cool one as well. The Vincenzo and Sons Barbering Emporium Mazda MX-5 Challenge. Mark 1, Mark 2, Mark 3. Low-cost regulated formula for 3 generations of MX-5s. Road tyres, standard ECU and intake. Coilover suspension and safety modifications. Vincenzo and Sons Barbering Emporium, sponsored since 2014. Bless you guys. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Gloucester Road.
Yeah.
Wow.
Look at haircut. They're brilliant. I haven't been in for weeks, as you can see.
I don't. Yeah, me neither. Me neither, as you can see. There's no need for that. And no, you're not. And the last one, 2-litre cup, normally aspirated road cars, open to production cars, up to 2,000 cc, running on sticky road tires. Power and grip limit, sticky road tires, and capacity limit keeps power and grip in check. Innovative rule system. The championship brings together a whole host of 2-litre cars that would be uncompetitive in the 2600 class.
Yeah, it's so basically in this. So what's weird about sprinting is the classes change across the country. So in this part of the country, we've got 1800 to 2.6 litres as A3. And if you bring a 2-litre car to a 400 horsepower competition, you're not going to do too well. So as a result, we've got a lot of, we haven't got a lot of 2-litre cars in this part of the world. So we started the 2-litre Cup and we thought, well, let's bring, because we mentioned earlier, if you modify your car too much, you end up in Sports Libre. But quite often that could be someone's bought a Nova and stuck a 2-litre engine in it. And actually, that's about as fast as an Astra with a 2-litre engine in it. They're pretty much the same, bit of weight difference.
Yeah.
Not too much different. So we lumped them all in one class, and it's going from strength to strength. Actually, we've got something like 12, 15 cars in the championship at this event. It's one of the
13.
bigger classes.
13 of them by the looks of it in F2. No, I mean, it
Yeah.
looks. Thank you. It's not my first rodeo, mate. But it's. I mean, it just looks incredible. And of course, you've got the Petro Canada Lubricant Porsche Club Speed Championship with Pirelli. I'm used to taking a run up for that title because I cover their circuit racing championship as well. And every time we mentioned it, it's like, right, limber up. I got to say their name. Let's go. Incidentally, I know that they're still in the background. Cheeky get Matt Part says short back and slides. I like it. Short back and slides. That's you, mate. You have a short back and slides. I just have solar panel for a love machine. But just quickly looking at the cars that are here. I mean, you see, I mean, the A1 road going up to 1400. We got a Ford KA. Don't talk to me about that. I've just finished doing the 12-hour race at Snetterton. I'm not surprised by this as well. Mike Cotton's even saying, if only I were younger. I get you, Mike. I do totally understand. This just looks such a cool thing to get involved in. We know that we've got the A2, which obviously included the Lannons in their Citroen Saxo, but you've got the Lotus Elise of Ryan Emer and Claire Tooth, the boyfriend and girlfriend that together. We spoke to champ Claire Tooth earlier. Emma and Noor Ali in a Mazda MX-5, so they're clearly related.
Husband and wife team, I think.
Husband and wife. Like it.
They're on Instagram. Shaky and I shouldn't have started. I can't remember. My memory's awful.
Alan Day out in a lease. Toyota MR2, MG Midget, Mini Cooper S, Class A3, Triumph TR4, Triumph TR3A, BMW Mini, Mini JCW, Toyota GR Yaris. As in,
yeah. He hill climbs it as well. Dan's super quick, like proper.
As in
quick.
the new thing that's out that
that
never actually rallied, so it's an interesting situation. But it's
still
one hell of a car, apparently.
Yeah, it's brand new. He got it a few months back. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing that. That's going to be mental because I've heard they are amazing. Absolutely. There's like a waiting list for those things, isn't it?
Yeah. Long time.
Another TR4, MX-5, TR6, Triumph, Ford Fiesta, Audi TT, Honda DC5. Oh, Michael Bowl. Michael Bowl. That's another one of our races. I missed that one out. Michael Bowl will be there in his Honda DC5.
The TT, to go back to that, that's like best part 400 horsepower. So that's not. Yeah. They're not messing about.
Jeepers.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the Yaris is still standard or not, to be honest, but it wouldn't surprise me if it's not.
Well, Michael Cohen, MGB GT, that would be interesting to see that one go. They're normally rockets. Ford Fiesta of Neil Bateman. I've lost whether I've flicked over or not now. Elise, Toyota MR2, TR6, Honda S2000 as well. That would be good to see that. A Clio 172 Cup. Richard Ames. That name means something to me as well. Chris Pearson said it's a 2-year waiting list on the Yaris GR, apparently. I knew it was a list, but wow. Another Honda S2000, Triumph TR6, TR4. Another TT, Wayne Shawnee in an 1800 turbo TT. Porsche Boxster. TR4, TR3, BMW Mini, then into the road going series over 2600, Subaru Impreza, that'll be fun. Celica GT4, TTRS, Porsche Cayman S, Porsche Cayman, Porsche, TR8. Oh, I like that. For some bizarre reason, and I'll get mocked for this one. When I was young, my favorite car was the TR7, Triumph TR7. I have no idea why. It's just a wedge. But for some reason, I used to love that car. And of course, the TR8 from memory is the
V8.
Yeah. And I've covered one of those in the CNC heads quite a few times as well. And they're just wicked cars. Porsche Boxster, TVR Camara, a Lotus Exige V6 Cup car out there as well.
That thing sounds amazing. When you hear it, you'll stop talking. You'll just, it's like music.
And I've seen quite a few of those, obviously, with the Lotus Speed Championship. That they love putting them out there. They are awesome cars, and they look amazing. Porsche 911, Mitsubishi Evo as well out there. Trevor Hartland.
He'll be right up at the front. Him and Matt Bennett, I reckon, in the 911 Turbo are your odds-on favourites there.
Sweet, I like that. Morgan +8, I'm looking forward to seeing that as well. Another Subaru Impreza. Classes B1 and B2 road going specialists. A Westfield SE, a Caterham 7 Road Sport, Caterham 7, and a Westfield SE. B3, we got the TVR Griffith, Alan Davies, Janetta G20. That would be fun to see. A Triumph TR7 V8. So why is that not a TR8?
I don't know. I wasn't born then. I don't know. Someone will comment. Someone will know. They're furiously tapping away.
Anybody as well that's watching the stream is that hopefully we'll be able to have it where you can comment during the show, and we'll get people involved. You know that I love doing that. TVR Griffith 500, Triumph TR4, Westfield SE, Fisher Fury.
Yeah,
I wonder whether that's the Fisher Fury we've seen racing at Combe. Tim Monk's I don't think was the driver of it, but I'm wondering whether it is the Fisher Fury we've seen racing at Combe.
There's millions of them around.
Oh, is there?
Probably isn't. But what's unfortunate is the 61 pulling out Alex Millard in a silver Stylus. That's like forerunner to the Fury, and that car is insane.
Oh,
it's
really?
it's got a Cosworth Duratec in it. It's
that's a shame.
Sequential gearbox, and I'm not sure how much I should say, just in case his wife is listening. But yeah, mental car.
I like the sound of that. A couple of Austin Minis in C1. C2, we've got John D that the Castle Combe regulars will know as well. He's out in a Honda Integra DC2. Peugeot 106, MGZR, Rover Mini, Ford Escort Mark II, Nigel Smith.
Yeah, he'll be sideways, judging by Landau last weekend.
That's the way you're supposed to drive them, isn't it?
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Dave and Pete Spiller out in the Mini Cooper SR56. We know those guys well. Mazda 323, Mazda RX-8, Lotus Elise, Lancia Delta Integrale.
Diversity, isn't there?
Wow. I've just had a moment with that one. Oh, what a shame withdrawn a Lotus Esprit S3. A Jaguar E-Type.
Yeah, not even a replica, real one.
Really?
Yeah.
BMW E6 M3, not surprised. Porsche Boxster Cup car. TVR Tuscan. Rob Pack, thank you for the comment earlier, Rob. So he's out there in number 36 in his TVR Tuscan. We adore those. Triumph Dolomite Sprint. Triumph TRV8. Toyota MR2 Mark II. Another Triumph TRV8. So that's where they all went. And a Renault Clio 172 Cup car. C4 Ginetta G20 GT4 Coupe. Sweet. Westfield SE and a silver Riot. That's only 998 cc.
That's bike engine, so that's a R1 engine in that, and he doesn't hang around. Bob knows his way around. That would be a quick car. Unfortunately, Pete O'Connor has pulled out in his Westie because he's got a problem with his gearbox. But
presumably, I'll have an up-to-date entry list come Saturday.
Yeah, I've got a pen. I'll cross out the ones that aren't coming.
Oh, wicked! You're a legend. Thanks, mate. That's only while we're talking about it, I thought I'd ask. Then we got into the D1s. We got a couple of Radical SR1s, D2, Triumph GT6, Radical SR8. Wow, Aspire GTR as well.
Turbo Spire.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah. Sweet. Like that one. D3, the rally cars we've covered. E2, the racing cars, an OMS, a JKS. The E3s, we've got a Van Diemen, a Force, an OMS, a KMD. Some of those
That's
are possible.
a one-off. So the KMD...
named after people normally, isn't it?
Yeah. So Kevin is the entrant, and the K stands for Kevin.
I thought it would be. Yeah.
Yeah.
The MX-5s, we've got a good number of those. 1, 2, 3. Well, there's no point counting them because we got some doubled up. But the point being is that we've got a cracking number in that one. So I look forward to seeing those. And of course, that includes the Pars. The Bristol 2-litre Cup F2 that you were talking about earlier. Ford Fiesta ST150, Honda Civic, Clio, Civic Type R, Clio 182, MX-5, Clio 197. I'm going through these because I really want people to sort of like get a feel for just how varied it is and therefore how accessible it is. I think that's the right word, isn't it?
It's totally accessible. That's the thing. You know, you can come in quite easily with anything, no matter what you've got. I mean, in fairness, it's not... I wouldn't say it's the most varied entry list, actually. I'd say there's a lot of road cars here. I mean, there's a lot of variety, but normally there is a lot more variety than this. Like, we've only got half a dozen Sports Libra cars, but I'm sure at the end of the year, the different cars that we'll have will be even better. Let's be honest, it's not bad, is it?
That's the key point I was about to say, is don't you worry that that's even more exciting to say by your standards. This isn't, let's just say from someone who's going to enjoy it for the first time on Saturday, this is epic. I mean, I can't wait for this. And there's obviously a whole load of Porsches in the Club Speed Championship with Pirelli as well there. I mean, just a wonderful, wonderful grid. So they will sort of go up to the line. We'll have them off, and they'll sort of go off in. What's the gap between each car?
It's about however long they take to line up, but it's about 25 seconds, give or take, between each car.
Okay, so off they'll go. We've got the challenge of sort of like working out who we're going to talk about as they go, because we'll have, what do we work out? Sort of 4 or 5 cars at one time?
It'll be between 3 and 4, I'd have thought.
3 and 4, okay.
Even the slowest cars, the slowest class record is under 80 seconds, so they should be finished. Okay,
so we're going to have that many, and it's like, well, what are we going to look at? You're the man with the power to sort of control what we're seeing, and I shall sort of get into the flow of it once we get going. And frankly, as people will know that have heard me commentate, I shall just be the fan in the box, just enjoying what I'm watching and sort of like trying to paint the picture and help bring it to life. What time are we going live on Saturday?
Well, I've put 11 o'clock as the scheduled time, but you probably remember from earlier in the slides, I said 10:45 for time run, so we might start a little bit earlier. But basically, we'll start when we get to the end of practice.
So make sure I've put a link in for that live stream as a comment. So wherever you're watching, you'll see that there's a link to YouTube. Go to that. That takes you straight to the show. Click set a reminder, and it will then click set a reminder. We'll try and post up on social medias once we get going as well. The live stream for it. You've heard that we've got quite a few of our Coomers that are going to be out there, our Coom racers that are going to be out there as well. But some amazing cars, some amazing talent by the sounds of it as well, Andy, that I won't have necessarily come across yet.
Yeah, there are some like properly impressive drivers. Someone once said to me that it doesn't matter what level you're at in racing, when you get to the top end of that race series, those top few are still world class, and I think I'd probably stand by that. We know full well there's a big spread of experience and ability at a race meeting, and the same's true at a sprint. But those people at the sharp end, they are just out there.
Love it. Well, I think anything else that you want to say or cover, Andy, or are we?
I will get shot if I don't mention that this is like a whole weekend. So we're sprinting on the Saturday, but so normally this is like a spectator blue ribboned event, and we're there all weekend. And we do the sprint on the Saturday and a car show on the Sunday. But we're still doing the car show on the Sunday, but there's no spectators. So you can't come and look at them unless you're displaying a car. But we do like parade laps around the track and things like that. It's like proper relaxed thing.
Well, let's cover. Let's also make the point that says, look, we're bringing Saturday to life. We've really sort of bought the event and the discipline, the sport. I'm not sure how to label it really. Hopefully to life for quite a few people, myself included, if I'm brutally honest. It's not just about this year. That hopefully is something that into next year and later this year, because you guys are back doing other things later in the year, as I understand it.
Yeah. So we've got the Coombe event in October on the 20-something. It's the Saturday anyway. It was going to be Supercar Saturday, so the Stroke Association Day, but they pulled out, so we've taken their date. But yeah, we've got other events, but these are our Coombe events.
Cool. So. Well, in which case, that's the point. Is listen, there's so much more to it. Get yourself onto the Bristol Motor Club Facebook page, like it, follow it. Turn on notifications, all of that, because there's so much going on. We've only covered what's happened at Castle Combe on Saturday, but you've got loads of places that they also go. You've heard the caliber of racers that are in there that we know and ones that we don't know that are really interesting. Some amazing cars, wonderful discipline, thoroughly entertaining. And as you've heard from Andy, is that it isn't just the race days, is that there's then things that become car shows. And I know people love all of that as well. So thank you for that. Thank you for all the people that have added comments. I know that Tim Perry said thanks, guys, to the Pars and the Lannons when they came on, and of course Claire Tooth earlier. Thanks, guys. Been brilliant to hear from you all. We'll see you at the circuit soon. To you, Andy, as well. Tim also said thanks for coming on. Interested in insight to what a sprint is about. I will just put this up, is that Chris Pearson, the photographer, has messaged you on the Bristol Motor Club Facebook page. Apparently, he says, "Hit me up." He's down with the kids. Hit me up afterwards about the photography. I'm too old to pull that sentence off, aren't I? Hit me up afterwards about the photography. Thanks, Nigel. Appreciate it, mate. Great show as always. It's been a pleasure, Andy. And we've even got Matt Parr. Thanks, guys. Good to see you. Chat with you all again. Looking forward to Saturday. Look forward to it, mate. I can see you in the background, mate. Still sat out in the sun. I look forward to actually seeing you on Saturday, mate. I'll make a point of catching up in the paddock if we can. Tim Perry says, thanks, Andy and Dawes. Hope the weekend goes well. Sad I'm not able to be there. Dilly indeed. And Chris is just laughing at me being too school for cool. But there we go. Andy, thank you very much, mate. And we'll be on air come the weekend then.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. It's been great.
No problem. You stay. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to play the Great Western thing as well, just to sort of remind us what Saturday's all about. Move us down to the background. Don't disappear, because we'll just quickly chat afterwards once we've gone offline. So, Andy, I'll see you Saturday, mate.
Cheers, mate.